Hey there, peoples. I'm Nate here for Peach Domino Paper Crafts. Hi, how you doing? A lot of shadows on the board today. Hang on. Let me see if I can do something about some of those. Okay, so today's video is going to be a little different. I'm not going to do a process video of journaling. I'm not going to do a tutorial. What I'm gonna do, no junk journaling today, is I guess what I meant to say. What I'm gonna do is I have to set up my planners, my business and my personal planners for 2025. And in order to get this all done, there's a few steps I'm gonna go through. Now, you can't see it, but I have this line of containers, and each container has a different set of colors in it. I have black, blue, oranges and yellows, browns, purple, pink and red, green, and then I've got my fine liners and my markers and all of that. So we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm gonna make a list of everything that that I want to keep track of in my journals. Now I have the business and I have the personal, but the business journal is going to be more of a statistics journal and not a day-to-day. So day-to-day business stuff is going to go in the personal journal, like keeping track of what projects, what steps I'm on what projects, and that kind of thing. As far as the business journal, statistically, the things I want, I've already got spreads for, but I might think of something else that I want to put, so that's why I put that category over there. Now, as far as keeping track of things in my personal journal, I need to decide what I do daily that could be a project. And once I've done that, I need to determine the steps for each project. Now, that's not things like washing dishes or, taking a bath or things like that. That's things like, well, I guess daily is not regularly is what I would want to use. That would be things like menu planning, making actual journals, those kinds of things, because they each have a step that I need to follow, or a set of steps that I need to follow each time I do it, or else I'll forget steps. These are just things that I need to do to help me with my ADHD issues, right? I want to keep track of my food intake, and I keep track of my food intake because I need to keep track of my blood sugar, so that way I know which food intake raises my blood sugar, which food intakes lower my blood sugar theoretically, and which ones do nothing at all. That way I can get a better handle on my diet and manage my diabetes a little better. I want to keep track of my weight and body dimensions. And this is not an excessive, oh, I have to weigh myself every day and measure myself once a week. No. No. Because if I do that, I'll get discouraged. This is take a weight once a week, at the same time, on the same day, wearing the same clothes, and that way I can get a track of how good my week has gone as far as watching my food intake and my sugar, right? And I keep the body dimensions, which I'm only going to check every 2 months, maybe 3, maybe once a quarter. Because when I go to buy clothes online, I need to know, okay, well, I wear this size pants. My waist is this big, my chest is this big for a shirt, you know, those kinds of things. It's not for... Okay, anyway, those are the things I wanted to keep track of. I want to keep track of when did I last. Things like clean the air conditioner filter. When did I last clean the oven? When did I last clean out the microwave? When did I last replace the dish soap? Certain things like replacing the dish soap. That way I have a good grasp on how much dish soap we use in a given period and how often I need to put dish soap on my grocery list. You see when... Wow, that was... Okay, that was accidental, but I didn't realize my camera was that close to my hand. I want to keep track of media consumed. I watch a lot of YouTube during the day, and a lot of true crime on YouTube during the day, and I find myself hearing the same stories over and over just from different creators. So I kind of want to keep track of what stories I've heard, how many times I've heard this story, because after 2 or 3 times, there's no more angles to look at, right? Very rarely is there more angles to look at. Anyway, media consumed, and that includes books, movies, music, YouTube, not necessarily TikTok, because TikTok's going away, hopefully temporary. Maybe not at all. We'll see what happens. Hopefully. Anyway, I want to... I don't know. I'll probably think of some other things. So, these are the things I'm going to keep track of. And in order to keep track of them, let's kind of... Before I set up my journal... See, I have my journal right here with some stuff. With some stuff already ready to go in it. Some quotes that I took out of pages in a Dollar Tree book. Not this one. This... See? Just remember everything's going to be okay. Normal's not something I aspire to be. It's something I aspire to get away from. Things like that. But this is my life gamification notebook. I'll tell you more about that, but if you want to know, I'll tell you about that in a different video, but I'm going to link below the video that I'm using as my basis from, I believe it's pronounced Joshi Corin. And then I went on her Discord, and I got ideas and inspiration from other users about their gamification journals too. So, I'll talk about that in another video. But first today, what is it that I do that are regular projects, regular, I'll zoom you in a little more, projects, and yes, my paper's crooked, because I tend to write upwards, so I just tilt my paper, makes it easier to understand. Now, I did mention menu planning. That's a really big one for me because today is Wednesday and we're going grocery shopping on Friday and I don't have a menu planned. But it's a once every 2 weeks project. And hopefully keeping track of it, I can make it an easier project so that I have 5 or 6 menus and I just rotate out between them. So there's that. I'm gonna leave some space I'm gonna do 8 steps at the most. I don't want to do more than 8 steps in a project. If I do, then let's just forget that project, right? Then it becomes a task. I regularly make a mess in the floor. Sorry about that. I regularly make fancy journals, and I call them fancy. What these are is the more fully loaded junk journals. They have lots of pockets, lots of tags, lots of hidden tuck spots, things like that. Now there may be sub-steps, like let's say one of the steps is gather ephemera. That's pretty general, right? So sub-steps could be to check each, individual ephemera category. Now you may not have the same ephemera categories. You may not have any ephemera categories, but what I have are shoe boxes. And in each shoebox I have different ephemera categories. Like I have different pages. They're small pages. They're not 8.5 by 11 sheets. They're like this size. Small pages. I have one for die cuts. I have one for maps, one for tags, one for postcards, one for pockets. All those kinds of things. Lots of different categories. Alright? Maybe to check the wash sheet. You never know. Lots of different steps I could take here. Now, what else do I regularly make? That could have... I make cards. Greeting cards. If there's 8 steps to making a greeting card, I'm gonna hurt something. This piece of paper, maybe. There ain't no 8 steps to making a greeting card. I bet there's not even 4 steps to making a greeting card, but we're gonna put down 4. I don't like to write on the backs of papers. I don't know why. Mostly because I can usually see through them. Can you see through that? I can. I don't know if you can. See the ghosting right there? That's why I don't like... But I'm going to go ahead and do it because this is a trash sheet of paper anyway. 1, 2, 3. So next up would be number 4. What do I regularly do that could be a project? I don't know. So we're going to leave that alone. Okay, so these are our projects. So, meal planning, menu planning. What's involved in menu planning? Do inventory. And that includes pantry, spices, which are not located in my pantry. They're located in the cabinets. Freezer. And there's 2 of those. So I gotta keep up with both of those. But I'm not gonna write it out twice. And fridge. That way I know what I have, right? Okay. After we do the inventory, we find... Oh, nope. We're not up to finding yet. List special events. Does the boy have a football game? Does the wife have a doctor's appointment? Does the other one have, I don't know, a birthday party coming up? Just list out the special events for the 2 weeks, okay? Those special events are you're gonna want to do easy foods or no food at all. Like in the case of a birthday party, we go out to eat. So that's why we list out the special events. Pick meals equal to the number of days cooking. You don't want to pick 14 meals and only be cooking 10 days. Right? Zoom you in just a little more. Now, corollary, is that the right word? C1, no, it's not a special step. Equal numbers of chicken, beef, pork, meatless. Oh, and fish. Well, no, we do less fish because the boy doesn't like fish. So fish is an occasional or when the boy's going to be gone. Okay? What's next? What's next? What's next? Ooh. This needs to be D. And this needs to be C. I skipped a step, y'all. Consult previous menus to not duplicate. If you had meatloaf last week, you don't want to have meatloaf this week. Man, I gotta keep y'all in frame. I am so sorry about that. It's hard when you're zoomed in like this, but you can't really read it if you're not zoomed in. Okay, and then you pick your meals. After you've consulted your menus, then you pick your meals. List all needed ingredients. Cross out ingredients on hand. What's left is your grocery list. And then add in household necessities. Okay, and we don't need an H. Okay, so in order to menu plan, for me, now for you, might be different. You might have a whole different list. But this is a good way to figure out what's on your list, right? So for me, for menu planning, it's once every 2 weeks. It means it happens twice a month, sometimes 3, usually only 2. I do an inventory of the pantry, the spices, the freezer, and the fridge. I list out any special events so I don't make any food for those days. Or I make special food for those days. If it's a football game, I make like Frito pie, you know. You consult the previous menus so you don't duplicate stuff. You don't want meatloaf 2 weeks in a row. Pick meals equal to the number of days you're cooking, and in equal numbers of chicken, beef, pork, and meatless. Occasionally fish. List out all the needed ingredients. Cross out ingredients on hand, and add household necessities, and your menu planner's done. Now this household necessities is not going to be on previous menus, right? This whole grocery list right here, this part right here, is a separate grocery list so that you don't, like, when you go to look at your previous menu and use it again, you have all the needed ingredients listed. Now you might have different ingredients on hand the next time you have it, so you want to do this the week of. Okay, and that is how I figure out what we're doing for regular projects. Now I'm going to do the rest of these regular projects, okay, and then I will come back And where am I at? 20 minutes. I'm going to come back in part 2, and I'm going to show you how we put this in a journal. Okay? I'll see you next time.